Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin and the Food Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Justin Bizarre. I'm your host, and today I have with us On the Rocks Gourmet Jams from Atlanta, Georgia, and Cathy Cowan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing very well. It's a great day here in sunny Colorado, and we're having a blast. How's it doing down there in Georgia?
Oh, it's sunny today. It's I know they had those windstorms going on, so it's a little cooler, but it's still the high 60s, low 70s, so I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, Cathy, tell us a little bit about your story and how you ended up becoming a food entrepreneur and having your own line of jams.
Okay, so I am a mother of two. At the time when I first started the business back in 2016, they were, I guess, maybe 3 and 1 years old. So I wanted to go to brunch. We had lived in New York where brunch, was a big thing. So we moved down to Atlanta, and we had been here for a few years. And so after it was like a Saturday, and my girlfriend had called. She was like, "Hey, you want to go to brunch?" I'm like, "Sure." A chance to get dressed up, reminisce on those days of going to New York, wearing your heels, meeting with your girlfriends over cocktails and some pancakes. Sounded delicious. So I got dressed. I started putting on my earrings, and I was curling my hair, and then it became, "Mommy, look at what I made." Then, of course, it's a competition because they're close in age. So it was like, no. Okay, so they weren't 3 and 1. So you get the point, maybe like 5 and 3, because they were at the point where the other person always had to outdo the other. Yeah, so it's like, "No, Mommy, look at me." And then after the look at me stage and "what are you doing?" and telling the little corny jokes and me having to applaud, by the time I would have driven down to Atlanta, brunch would have been over. So I missed my chance to go out and talk to normal human beings without the baby talk. So I still wanted a drink by that time. No, actually, I needed a drink by that time, and I still wanted brunch. So my aunt, who I was living with at the time, made a delicious watermelon jam. And I was in her kitchen. I was like, I'm still hungry. And so I'm like, now I'm hangry, right? So I'm getting angry because I missed my cocktail, too. So I asked, I was like, what? I wonder what it would taste like if I mixed alcohol and some fruit and, made a jam. She was like, "Oh, please, who's heard of that?" I was like, "I don't know." So I went on my good old favorite site, Pinterest, and I didn't find anything. So I Googled it. I'm like, wow, they don't have that out here? I can't believe no one has made a strawberry daiquiri jam. So I followed some ingredients to make regular strawberry jam, except I used the ingredients that it would take to make a daiquiri to put it in a jam. So the first time it was a little runny, and the second time I was like, I think this is pretty good. I think this is great. So I said, but I don't know what to do with it. But I knew that it was a good idea because I didn't see it on Pinterest, and I didn't find it when I Googled it. So I'm like, maybe I created something. So I had a very close girlfriend who had a really popular Etsy shop. So I called her. We went to Stone Mountain. I said, "Hey, I want to run an idea by you. I have a jam that has alcohol in it, and I want to know what you think." So, and I don't know what to do with it, how to market it. So she told me, find a local event that's pretty cheap so you don't have a high overhead cost and get people's opinions on it. I was like, yeah, okay. I said, but first I'll send it out to all my friends and family because they're all very opinionated. And so different ages, different demographics, and I wanted their opinion on the presentation, on the taste, on the color, on the name. And from that's really how it started. I did my first event. It cost $50. And from there, a lot of people loved the jam. I had to go back in the lab because a couple of them were still a little runny. So after I perfected the recipe, then I just started shopping it around different festivals around the Atlanta area, and that's really how it got started.
That's amazing. I love it. And just so the audience knows, how can they find your jams and where are you located on social media and what's your website and things like that?
Oh, sure. Well, they can definitely find us on Amazon. It's On the Rocks Gourmet Jams. You can go to our website, which is ontherocksjam.com, and on Facebook and Instagram. At Instagram, we're at On the Rocks Jams, and Facebook is On the Rocks Jams. They can find us there.
And it's amazing. And you mentioned the watermelon jam, and as I looked at your website, the watermelon I see is the watermelon lemonade margarita jam. But the other one that you mentioned, is the watermelon lemonade margarita jam sort of the one that came out of that original creation of how you started the company?
Yes, because she had made the great watermelon jam. So I figure, let's make a margarita out of it. But in the summertime, I really like lemonade. I think it's pretty popular in the summertime. So I mixed the two because sometimes lemonade can be a little tangy, and then you mix the sweetness of watermelon. I thought it'd be a good summertime flavor. And who doesn't love a margarita?
No, I agree with that 100%. And so tell us all the different types of jams that you guys have.
Well, I think currently we have 11 different flavors. We have strawberry daiquiri, watermelon lemonade margarita. We have Aloha screwdriver. We have Night in Paris. We have, I think I said strawberry daiquiri. We have raspberry mimosa, a peach mango moscato. We have Patron Paradise, and we have a peach Bellini. And we actually introduced, we have a hot pepper jam that we sell. It doesn't have alcohol in it, but it's been a favorite, and we always sell out at the farmers markets around here. We included a few that we're going to bring to market this summer that are non-alcoholic for some people who want fresh fruit, but they don't want the alcohol. So one is called She sells seashells. I don't know if everyone remembers that rhyme where you say it really fast.
Yep.
She sells. Yeah. So
she sells seashells at the seashore. Actually, it's kind of funny that happened because I just did another podcast today where we're doing tongue twisters, and here's another one. She sells seashells at the seashore. Seashells.
Right. So basically, that one came up because I like cute names. So I think when you have something cute, when I like to go to a bar, I usually try the drink that has the cutest name. I don't know why, but I'm like, oh, that's cute. So I thought that was cute because we used fruits that were popular around the tropical area. So I'm like, oh, seashore, So I thought that name was really cute. We have another one is a play on one of my favorite artists, Stevie Wonder. He has a song called My Cherry Amour. So I made one called My Cherry Amour. So it's like cherries and pineapples and mangoes, and it's delicious. And then we have another one called Making Me Blush, and that one is just strawberries and pineapples. That's pretty good. So we're trying to introduce basically the premise around our company is we like to bring that nostalgic back for those who were like, oh, I remember my grandmother made jams or my mom makes jams. So add a little twist to make it more up to date to where you'd want to have it at a brunch with your friends. It's a good conversational piece to talk about. It's delicious, and it gives you a little kick. And there's no preservatives, so it's all natural. We use non-GMO sugar. So, and we try to we actually lessen the amount of sugar because there's so much processed foods nowadays, and so we also are aware about the diabetes and these diets that are going around, and with all the food that people eat, how much sugar we consume. So we've lessened the sugar in our jams, but they still are delicious because we want people to get used to trying something different outside of your regular strawberry, peach, or orange or apricot jams. Mix them up to let people know, there's fun things you can do, and we don't just use them as a jam. I use them on our grilled meats, like for our burgers during the summertime. Oh, we have another one called Big Apple, which is fireball whiskey and apples.
Oh, wow.
And it has a cinnamon kind of flavor, and it's so good on your burger, on your grilled burger. And so is the Aloha screwdriver. Aloha screwdriver has pineapples, mangoes, and strawberries, and it has absolute vodka in it. And it's really good. It just adds that sweetness to your burger, so you don't need mayo or mustard or anything like that. You still put all your regular toppings on. And you can actually have a party and just try a bunch of jams. We also, I've used the peach mango moscato on my grilled chicken this summer. Well, not this summer, but last summer, actually. I got tired of eating grilled chicken all the time the same way. So I like to cook, but now sometimes when it becomes a chore that I have to cook because I have a family, I get bored. So I'm like, you know what, let me try something to boost it up a little. So I heated up a little bit of the jam just for about 5 to 10 seconds in the microwave, and I just glaze it over the chicken as I'm grilling it, and then it kind of seeps into it and mixes with the juices, and it's really good. So it gives it a sweetness that takes the blandness out of, if you chicken a lot. You can also do that on your pork chops. That's really, really tasty. So just trying to find ways for people to infuse it. I know that I have a ton of marinades and spices, and I love to use them all, but it'd be great if I could pay one price and get a marinade and a jam and a syrup and whatever else I could get out of it, get the most bang for my buck. So that is why we used it. And so I will say that was one of the perks of the jams when we first started, with them being runny, because I didn't want to waste the product. So I'm like, well, now I have some of this product that's kind of runny. What can I do with it? So just started pouring it on stuff, and that's when I started tasting it. And then from other people, a few of our customers, would pour it on their cheesecake or on their pound cake or over their ice cream. So, you can use it a myriad of ways. Just depends on what you like.
Well, and I love the multi-applications for it, because I think people don't realize that jam just doesn't belong on toast. You can use it to spread on things, to marinate things, to add on your burger and your meats, and it gives such a great flavor profile and things like that it adds so much excitement, in my opinion. So let me just ask this question, because I love your names. Like the Night in Paris, it's actually spelled Pearis. So it's a play on, obviously there's pears in there, but in Paris. But
right.
And so I love what you're doing there. And obviously my Sharia more. Who can go wrong with Stevie Wonder? I'm a huge fan of Motown myself. Barry Gordy was an amazing human being and created a lot of artists. And gave them careers. Actually, they created themselves, I guess, or their parents created them. He just brought them to fame and fortune, and just did some amazing things. But so I love what you're doing. So what inspires you to do it? I mean, you come up with all these great ideas and all these great names and different fruits and stuff to put into it. I mean, take me to your lab. Where when you're in your lab, how do you go about coming with ideas and new products?
Well, I actually this is the fun part, I get to go to different restaurants, and I'll, or like I said, my go-to is Pinterest. If I'm home or I want to try a new dish, I go on Pinterest, and they have like the cutest recipes up there. So if I see a cocktail, I'll try to make the cocktail first. Or if I'm out with friends at a happy hour and I see a cocktail that I like, then I'm like, I wonder, how that would taste as a jam. So I also get inspired by, one thing we wanted to do was, introduce people to fruits that you don't typically buy every day. So there's a market out here off Buford Highway, and it's a farmer's market. And they have fruits from all over the world. Some of the fruits I can't even pronounce. So I think we do ourselves, well, I can't say everyone. Some people have tasted it, but from what I see in the markets, we do ourselves a disservice when we don't taste different cultures and kind of experience different types of fruits. Like, you don't know what you're missing if you've never had it before. So it's just to kind of get people to think outside the box with your foods, try something different. So I go to the markets, and we're going to do more this year as well, just to taste different fruits. Like, okay, would this work as a jam? There's some fruits that I'm not quite sure, or I just haven't found what would go well with it. For instance, I like honeydew. But would I want honeydew as a jam? I'm not so sure about that. But maybe if you found the right fruit that you could blend with it, then, of course, you could do something like that. Then you look for seasonal types of things. Like, for instance, in the fall, we do one called Peter Piper's Pumpkin. And that's for pumpkin lovers. I'm not a pumpkin lover, but my husband is. So actually, he came up with that one. And also, he came up with one we have. It's kind of our stronger one. It's called Taste of Jazz Sangria. He made a sangria a few years back for our family reunion, and everyone loved his sangria so much that when we have like a cookout or something at our home, people will always call and say, "Hey, is Jazz making the sangria?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, I called you for a cookout, not to come and have sangria, but fine, I will tell him to have the sangria." So he mixed that one with sangria wine and some rum, some 80 proof rum. And he also put raspberries, strawberries. I don't want to mess up. And he put some Granny Smith apples in there. So it's really flavorful. So I really look at different fruits that I like. And like I said, I like cute names. So if I see a particular fruit, like there was one, I can't remember the name because it didn't make the list. but I wanted to call it the Three Amigos. But I think, there may be some trademark with that term because I remember the movie. But it was three fruits. I can't remember them, but they were all like in the same kind of family. So that's why I thought of something like that. But that's how I really come about, is just trying different fruits, and then you get a sense of like pairing different fruits together. What's one that is not very popular that, you haven't really seen or heard of or had in a jam before? What would it taste like? And then when we go to farmers markets, people get a chance to taste it, because some people are like, oh, that sounds cute, or they don't believe there's real alcohol in it until they taste it, and they really get a chance to experience, something different.
I think it's amazing, the creativity behind all of it, and just coming up with the names and the different types of flavors and different types of jams. I think is just so incredible. So I love what you're doing. What's your favorite one?
Thank you. My favorite would have to be the raspberry mimosa. I am typically not a fan of raspberries, surprisingly, but it has enough sweetness and a little bit of tart that makes it just perfect. I eat that one for breakfast. I put that one on my waffles, like Belgian waffles, with some syrup, and then I heat up a little bit and sprinkle it on top, and it makes your plate look really pretty. And then you put a little whipped cream on top, and oh man, you're in heaven. So clearly that is not the day that I am on a diet, but that's my cheat day, really. And that one I actually love. And I actually like it because I'm not great at it, but I try to be a bartender. And so I take it and I have like one of those, like if you were to pour Hershey's chocolate syrup, I take a margarita glass and I like drizzle it across so that I can have the pretty red, because it's a really vibrant red, and it drips down the side, and I pour like a margarita, well, not a margarita mix. It's a different type of drink that I make. I have no idea what it's called, but I found it on Pinterest. So I mix it in there, and it looks pretty, and it's delicious because it's got the raspberry fruit mixed a little bit with the alcohol and chilled, and it's just really good. So that's my personal favorite. And it tends to be a personal favorite for most people once they taste it. If not, I would say peach mango moscato is definitely our second runner-up that people really love.
And so, so that was your favorite. I mean, so are those? You said the peach Moscato is one of the top sellers. So what are your other top sellers? Yeah. What do people tend to be attracted to, and what do you see that people like the most?
Well, I think Taste of Jazz Sangria is great for people who like to drink. That's because it's our strongest one. You can the alcohol is really pungent, so you can taste that one the most. It's not my personal favorite. It is good, but it's not my favorite. But people who really like a kick would like that one. I think raspberry mimosa, like I said, is really popular. Strawberry margarita, because it's a classic, and you can really smell the margarita once you put it on your biscuit. Like sometimes when we go out, we have a croissant and we spread a little on the croissant, and people are like, wow, I can really taste it. The daiquiri is good, but to me, the daiquiri is kind of for your softer side. So we have a range. If you're not really a drinker, but you want to just try it out, the peach Bellini is good because it's a little softer, as well as the Night in Paris and the the peach mango moscato is really sweet. So if you want something sweet, that would be the one too. And because they have wines, they're not as strong. But if you wanted something with more kick, I would definitely say the watermelon lemonade margarita and the strawberry margarita, and certainly the Taste of Jazz Sangria. And if you want something a little different, I would do the Big Apple, because it has that, it really tastes like a cinnamony kind of jam, and it's really good, especially during the winter time. But people tend to like that one. But I've seen more people buy that in the winter as opposed to the summer. Summer, the peach, raspberry always sells out, and the watermelon goes pretty fast, but only in the summertime.
Yeah, I think the Big Apple jam, I love the creativity behind it and using the cinnamon alcohol with the apple to give it sort of that apple pie flavor almost. At least that's what I imagine. And so I got to imagine that one's pretty amazing.
Yes, and we have used it in an apple pie because, but some of it cooks out because it's a pie, whereas with the jam, it doesn't cook out. but it just adds a little bit of kick. I know we've infused the jams in our cupcakes. So just like, I think it's Hostess who has like the chocolate cupcakes and you have the white filling. We do the same thing, but we put our jams and fill the insides with the different jams so that people get a different taste. And it's just a different way to use it. So pretty soon we're going to start infusing like donuts or making the glaze like you would on a glazed donut, using the jams for that. So we're really going to expand the product, and we're looking at doing popsicles, like on the rocks pop. Because in the summertime, first, especially down here in Georgia, it gets so hot. I really don't want to eat jam when it's so hot outside. I'd rather have a popsicle. So if you don't want to have a cocktail, but you want your drink to last a little longer, why not have a popsicle? So I tried some at my cookout last year. So that's usually where I try, because I have people that are very brutally honest about my cooking and or whatever I serve. So they're like, wow, these are really good. So if I get the okay there, then I think I'll be okay going to the public.
Well, and I love what you're doing. I love that you have your core product, and it all started at the jams, but then the creativity and the thought process of saying, hey, okay, I can put this into donuts. I can put this inside cupcakes, which I got to imagine is delicious. And just having another avenue for it. And then the popsicles, I think, is just genius, because you're exactly right, hot, and it's the Southeast, and it gets so hot and humid. People want that type of thing, the popsicles, but there's not a lot of flavors out there, or they're traditional. So this adds a whole new twist, I feel like, to the traditional popsicle, and I love it. It's not just like a fruit smoothie popsicle or a traditional popsicle. It's actually something jam that has the flavors in a way to help promote your brand and help promote the jellies the jams that you already have. And it's just amazing. And I really love what you're doing with that. So tell me about how you go out in farmers markets, and what is that experience like, and how you choose what farmers markets you go to.
The farmers markets, we just kind of tested. Sometimes what we didn't do, I will say at first, which was a mistake, was that I went online, I just Googled festivals in Atlanta or festivals in Georgia, and I just went down, I looked at the dates, so I try to see around major holidays, and I look at the area. Have we ever been there before? Now, what I didn't do first, which I probably should have done, was to go to some of these markets beforehand instead of just saying I want to participate, and then you find out whether it was a win or it was a bust. So thankfully, the farmers markets have been our best bet, because it doesn't cost much to participate. You get all kinds of people there shopping. And the great thing is that you meet local farmers. So when I'm there, I always stock up, or I see, different farmers who come in with their fruit. And then it's a way for us to kind of work together and keep it local. So we buy all their fruit there, and then we come back and make a load of jams. And then we just continue, because it's only, some of the fruit, obviously, they have their peak seasons when they're the most ripe. So I think for us, the farmers markets have been better than general events. So I'll just look at online, really, and then from word of mouth, like if we go to one farmer's market, or if we're at an event, really is how it started. Like there's an Atlanta brunch festival that happened. We didn't participate this past March, but we did last year. And so someone will come up and taste it. So you know what? This will be good at, for instance, someone said Alpharetta Farmers Market. I'm like, oh, really? And so from there, I said, I write it down, and then we went out, and we do very well out there. And then from there, someone will say, hey, you should try over here. Have you ever been to the Sandy Springs Farmers Market or the Pot City Farmers Market? So that's how we find out, which one we should try based on people who have been to those markets. So I really will say that our customers and the people who come and just stop by to taste it always offer, encouraging words or different suggestions on places to go or what to do. So that's pretty much how we figured out the best markets to hit.
And I love that. And so you talked about the cupcakes and donuts. Is that something you'll bring to farmers markets to help do another avenue for your product?
Yes. We try to look at those, like For instance, this season, I think farmers market just started last week, so we're going to try a couple of different ones this year. We try to look at what's already there because we don't want to saturate the farmers market if you already have three people making cupcakes. So we are good. We pick and choose, and we haven't seen any donuts. So we'll take like mini donuts to the next farmers market. And the next one that we go to, if there's not a lot of cupcake makers, we'll bring cupcakes. Or we'll try to bring some type of food dish because a lot of people, although they like the jam, some people can only think of jam on a biscuit or a piece of toast. And we do get people who say, this is great, but I don't know what to do with it. So I haven't done my best at making demos, but I started working on recipes here at the house and testing it out on my family to see, is it a win? Do they like it? Do they not like it? Do I even like it? That way, when we go, like for one, I tell my husband, we're going to make like little sliders. We can even cut the sliders up, but just so people can taste, like this is what it tastes like on a burger. We'll have sliders and then let people pick which one they want to try it on so that they see we're not making this up. It really is good.
Yeah, and jams are great on burgers. That's one of the things that I love that you talked about is that they're so, like, it really adds to the flavor of something without having to add condiments in the traditional sense.
Right.
And it's just so amazing.
Right.
So I love that you're doing that. And so we've talked about the farmers markets and stuff like that, but what are the things that you love about your business the most, and what are the things you hate doing the most in your business?
The thing I love the most is creativity because there's no limit. You can do whatever you want. You can be as creative as you want. And I get that my inspiration from the craziest place. Like I like to go to museums. So I'll go to museums and I'll look at the colors in a portrait. And those colors I'm like, oh, that color looks pretty. I think that would be pretty as a jam. So I'll go and try and find some fruits that same color. There was one I wanted to make. It was called it's a Greek island or I can't remember I think it's Greek. It's called Saint-Tropez, and I wanted to make a really pretty jam that had like a turquoise aqua color because I'm like, man, this would be good. Nobody would believe it's a jam. The colors didn't come out right. I can't make turquoise for some reason. The colors of the fruit just it didn't match. So when it came out a weird kind of green color that didn't look very appealing. But I can be creative. So I go to art museums, or if there's a favorite movie that I like, or if it's a song that I hear, or if we're out and about and we're riding in a car and I'm just looking around at colors. The colors are what inspire me because if most people have bought our jams, our bags are black and white, and most of our marketing black and white because I want you to see the color of the jam. So I try to find colors that are vibrant, that would make you, that are kind of eye-popping, that would make you want to taste it. So it's fun because you get to be creative. What I don't like about it, or the thing I hate the most, is trying to find buyers. Oh, my gosh. I hate it because it's like, you've got to imagine as a buyer, they probably get tons of people contacting them about a product, right? But the thing that I don't like is that they don't respond back. We've gotten buyers who say, yeah, this is great, I'm interested, and they don't call you back. They don't say, no, I'm not interested anymore. They don't. And it hasn't happened the first time, and it's pretty standard. Or you get someone and you send them a sample, and although I know they're busy, it's like, if I send you something, not just say, thank you, I got it, or is it too much to ask? Or I don't know. That bothers me, but I don't like rude people. So it bothers me to the core because I understand it's a business, so you can't take things personally, but it's like trying to reach out to people who, you've got to understand they probably get a plethora of people calling them to try to get their stuff into market or to try and, taste their product and see. But I don't like when you reach out and you already have dialogue. I can see if you never had dialogue. That I can kind of understand. But if we had dialogue and then you just don't call back or respond at all. And then I start to feel like a stalker on a Lifetime movie. So I just stopped communication. I'm like, okay, no, you got to be persistent. But at a point, you just got to know when to say, you know what? Okay, we're not going to go that route. But then it's just, I don't understand why show interest if you're really not interested, or if you're busy, just give me a time frame, or at least just be courteous enough to say, hey, not right now, or, I'll get back to you at a later time, or just check back with me in a month or so, something like that. But that is what I hate the most.
Yeah, I think that's probably a frustrating thing for everyone. I know I've been down that road and some ventures and things like that, and this where you have these great communications, everything's moving forward. You're like, okay, left, great. They're going to call back, and we're going to have communication, and then you don't hear anything. And you're right, you want to keep following up because you're like, okay, what's going on? Why? And then still nothing. And God, I can't remember what the kids call it. I have two stepdaughters, 21 and 19, and there's a term, ghosted, like when you're talking to a boy.
Yeah.
Ghosted. Or a boy, and you're like talking to them, and all of a sudden they just stop communicating with you, and so you get ghosted. And that's like literally what I feel like you're talking about here. Like you have these great business conversations, and then all of a sudden the person just disappears. And it's exactly that. And so, it's an unfortunate thing that happens.
Right.
And it's because it is a lot of time, and so building hope, I feel like, and not delivering on it, something I definitely don't like about the food business. I'm guessing it probably happens in a lot of different businesses, but in food and beverage, it happens a lot because everyone's trying to fight to get in the grocery stores, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just, instead of telling us no so we can go back to the lab and improve our products and grow, they sort of string us along. Okay, if it's no, why is okay? I'd rather have a no and you tell me why it's no so we can go back and work on it, versus just not saying anything. Like, that's not doing anyone any favors, and it's certainly not helping anyone. So
exactly.
I always find that I'm like, well, just tell me no and tell me why, and then let me go back so I can improve my brand, and let's be good humans for one another. And so I think that's so important.
Exactly.
And so when we talked about the colors, and I talked about the things you like and dislike, but I want to go back because it just crossed my mind is, once you choose the colors, I mean, you chose the green one, so I was thinking that, okay, maybe it's not the Greek islands, maybe it's like Ireland, and it's something for St. Paddy's Day. But how do you then choose the alcohol to go with the color? Is it, okay, I want this color, I come up with a name, and I need an alcohol to sort of match that theme? Because the alcohol is like the third part of the equation, in my opinion. You have the name, you have the fruit, but then you also now have the alcohol that needs to mix well in it.
Actually, no. I picked the fruit, and then I usually try them as a drink first. So I'll find a drink and I'll make the drink, and if I like it, some things taste better with a rum versus a vodka, and so I'll taste it that way, and I'm like, you know what, this tastes pretty good. So then after I look at the color of it, that kind of makes me determine, like, okay, what's the name? Like, is it a particular part of town? Is it like, is there something like, for instance, there's going to be one we were thinking of calling it Nikki's Beach. Actually, because my friend gave me the idea. It's one of her favorite jams. And I'm like, Nikki's Beach, that's a real beach in Miami, and it's a popular drink. I forgot all the stuff that's in it. It's like Saint Germain and like a mango nectar and one other thing that's in there. And it was really good. So, and actually, she's the same person who invited me to brunch. So her middle name is Nicole. And so I was like, oh, this could be cute. It's your namesake and your drink. And Nikki's Beach, it's a party drink in Miami. You think party. So I try to think of names that if I tell you a name, what will come to your mind? Like, or if I say Saint Tropez, what color emits, like, what is the first thing you think of? And so that's how we kind of pick it. Like, for instance, if I say my cherry Amour, the first thing you think is cherries. So, yeah, cherries are in there. And so it has a pretty vibrant color to it. That's a dark color that will, kind of give you that sense. So basically, if the drink tastes pretty good, then we'll move forward with trying it as a jam. And then based on the color, we'll pick a name. And usually, like I said, we're trying to do more fun names because, I don't know, I think they're better than just having like a boring, like, orange marmalade. Like, that just sounds so boring to me. So I want something exciting, like, oh, I've got to try that because it sounds so cute.
Yeah, and I will always love Stevie Wonder as well. I actually flew on a plane with him from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. when he was coming to sing for one of the Obama inaugurations.
Oh,
and
oh my gosh.
And he is just an absolutely incredible human being. I just want everyone to know that. Side note, and I know I'm going on a tangent here, but it was a Virgin America flight, and he was just one of the most courteous, kind human beings to everyone that was around him, and people that would come up to him and want photos and things like that. Just made so much time for people and made sure that he had enough time to make time for people because he knew he was flying, with the rest of us. Us non-singing people, and it was really cool, and it was just a really cool experience. So, I love the name of that jam, and I think it's such an incredible idea to merge it together. But also, Stevie Wonder is just such a huge musician and did so much for music. I love it. So.
I love him too. I remember seeing him in Chicago, and kind of to play on what you said. When I went to see him in Chicago, it rained, so they canceled his concert because it was outside. I think it was at Grant Park. So I was so mad because I was living at home in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm like, I flew all the way to see Stevie Wonder in Chicago, and they canceled it because of the rain. But he couldn't perform, so they changed it to the next night. It was still supposed to rain, and so everyone was out there with their ponchos on, and it rained a little bit, but it wasn't a downpour like the night before. And when I tell you that was the best concert ever, like, I even saw Jesse Jackson. He was like in the third row, like dancing. And it was the most fun because everyone, all ages, races, whatever, no one was sitting in their seats because everyone knew every single song. So it was just a bunch of people in the park dancing in ponchos. It was the best.
I mean, and he's just a fabulous musician. And the way he plays the piano and just sings, and man, it's like I can feel it in my heart as we're just in my soul and like in my stomach as we're just talking about it right now. So, and while I grew up later, but Motown music, even the 60s and 70s and into the 80s were just so impactful to me, and all of that and. Jackson 5 and all of that, and obviously Michael Jackson came out of that, and you have like the Four Tops and groups like that just changed the way music was done, and obviously all under Berry Gordy. But so I love that you dedicated a jam. Long story short, I could go on forever about Motown. It would be a whole different episode having nothing to do with food. But what he did was amazing. So Diana Ross and the Supremes. So it's I could go on. So big fan from a business standpoint, like as a lover of business and entrepreneurs, and just what Berry Gordy did during that time and bringing a group up and creating a business and giving all these people a chance to live their dreams and sing, I just thought was so incredible. And really doing it because he cared and wanted to help people. It wasn't only about the money. And I just think that that's amazing. So side note, as we're talking about entrepreneurs. So let's talk about, so you've got the farmers markets, you're building this brand. I love the name, and you obviously, we talked a little bit, you have kids and a husband. So how do you manage your time now? Like, you're trying to boom this business. So how do you manage your time between your family and then being an entrepreneur?
It's very hard. It's very difficult because I will say business was not my first choice. I didn't grow up and say, I want to be a business owner. So it kind of fell into my lap with the creation of the jams. And so I am a person, or I used to be rather, if I try something and it doesn't work, forget it. Okay, I tried it, it didn't work, move on to the next thing. And this business has pulled me out of my comfort zone because I can't quit, because I've gotten so far into it that there's times where I have to step away and take a break because I get discouraged discouraged because it's not moving, or I'll have my peaks. You'll have your high season where you're doing well, and then you'll have your low season where I can't think about jams. I don't want to think about jams. So I have to take a break because I'm not feeling creative, or, maybe a place that I want to go to is we're not really getting in where we want to get into, like to try different restaurants. And sometimes we feel like we just need a shot. Like if people would taste it, they'd really find that it'd be good. And I think it would be great, at restaurants when they have these brunches. And it's like, I don't understand why they should jump on this, because they could be the start of something new, and people could talk about the jam. And it's like, okay, there's more than you just trying to get into this restaurant or this particular location. So when I get frustrated, I take a break, and my children now are 8 and 6. So I have a limited amount of time, and it comes to a lot of nights where I wake up in the middle of the night and I'll jot down my ideas, or I'll look at something. It's very, very difficult because they're very active. And, I don't want to be one of those moms where I'm so consumed with trying to make jams. And I involve them. So a lot of times I'm like, hey, guys, let's make up a name for a jam. And so they'll throw out some names. They thought of Tutti Frutti, but I think that's probably trademarked. They thought of Space Jam. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's trademarked too, but it's fun. They go along with us to the farmers markets to sell jams, and they actually had a lemonade stand, and they're like, we can take your jams out there. So I see that, they actually want to emulate and imitate their mom and dad by starting a business and selling and not being afraid of going out there. So that gives my husband and myself motivation to keep going. But I will say it is difficult. It'd be easier if I didn't have children, because then I could dedicate more time. Because when I'm here and they're here, I get distracted with, Mommy, I need a snack. Mommy, can I go outside? Mommy, can you take us to the park? Mommy, you never want to play. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just got home like 15 minutes ago. Can you sit down? So it's like you have to pick your time. So I'm like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll take from this time to this time to work on, let's say, social media. Tuesday, Thursday, I'll take these hours and I'll go and do regular grassroots efforts. So actually this summer, I thought a cool way, we're going to actually try really, really grassroots efforts. That way, I feel like if I do something where everyone's involved, it doesn't feel like such a daunting task of splitting my time. So to kill two birds with one stone, this summer, we're going to go to, for instance, Piedmont Park. So, they have like the little scooters that you can buy, or the bicycles. So I got them some new On the Rocks t-shirts because they've outgrown their old ones, and we'll give out samples of jams. And so they'll get to ride the little scooters and go pass out jams with their mom. And I also have like an old school bike that my dad gave me for my graduation from college. It's like a 1955 yellow Schwinn bike, and I love it. So I'm like, this is perfect. I'll put it in our SUV. We'll go down to the park. I'll take your bikes and we'll go. You can take your skates if you want. So while you're skating, you just pass out a jam and just see if people like it. So that way it feels like you get to go to the park. So after you pass out jams, then we'll stay and you can play in the park for about an hour before we head home. So just trying to get out there, because I think for me as a business owner, especially a small business owner, it's about a relationship. If people can put a face with the product, and a lot of times you buy things on how people make you feel, or a product makes you feel, if it makes you think about something, or your interaction with the story behind it. Like I feel like a lot of people, men can relate to, but especially moms can relate to. You just want to go have some girl time, and damn it, you just would like a cocktail without anyone asking you for a snack. What mom can't relate to that? I don't know. So it's like you feel like, yes, he understands my pain. And it's one of those things where, and because it's not a necessity, like you don't need peanut butter and jelly, but also the hot pepper jam is delicious on peanut butter and jelly, I might add. So it's not a necessity. So it's because it's like a niche market and a specialty item, it's a little bit more difficult to find people to not just buy it once, but to buy it consistently. So that's what I also think is important, of showing them different ways to use it, because you could buy it once and be like, oh, that was great. And then you might not want to buy it again because you're like, I already have that. But if I tell you the different ways you can use it and infuse it in your food, you may be more inclined to buy it again. Or if I, have show you different flavors and come up with cute little names. Oh, might I add, also, I got the idea for cute names. OPI and Essie have nail polishes, and all of their nail polishes have the cutest names. And so when I buy the nail polish, it's not because the color. Yeah, the color is cute, but the names. The name, like, oh, this is beautiful. I like that name, and so I'll just go and buy that polish. And it has not. And a lot of times, also, I will tell you, I don't buy just one. I buy a few, and it's not because of the color. Yeah, the color is cute, but the name is what draws me. So that is one inspiration where I've gotten, that I want to have cute names, because I buy nail polishes because they have adorable names. So I know I probably went on a tangent because you asked me about family time, but see, it's like once you get going, you just kind of got to get it all out there, because I'm used to kids where if you want to say something, you better get it all out there. You stopped in about 2.2 seconds.
No, I love it, and definitely, and I look forward, and something I want to do, just because we talked about it. Well, one is I'd love to have you back on the show at the end of summer to talk about your farmers market experience over the summer. As we wrap it up, I want to put that out there and do a part 2, because I love your energy, and I love what you're doing with the cupcakes and donuts and how you bring everything together. So I'd love to just do an episode after the farmers market season's over and just talk about farmers markets and as part of your story, because one of the things we're going to continue to do on this podcast is continue to tell your guys' stories, not just tell it once. The second part I love is that you're involving your kids and giving them the education of being an entrepreneur, and it's something you can't get in school. And we talk a lot about it on this podcast, because it's such a gift, and showing kids how to go out there and earn their own money and do it while living their own dreams, and the creativity and the drive that goes behind it, and then the family unit because of it. I think it's so amazing because you're doing it all together, and so that's so cool. And so I really love that. You. I love it, and I think it's awesome, and I love the biking thing where they can take their, a wagon or whatever and just go and market the products. I think you're really on to something there, and I love that they get to be a part of that.
Thanks. Yeah, I definitely will. We'll definitely chat again. This is fun.
Yeah. And so my last question for you, Cathy, as we start to wrap things up, is if you could go back to the beginning when you started the business and tell yourself some things you know now that you wish you knew then, what would they be?
Number one, plan for more capital. I don't think you can ever know how much it will cost to invest in the business. As I said in the beginning, I didn't know. I was in the kitchen making a jam. So I didn't know about, the wholesale price and how much it would cost. And then if you want to go to a market, you have to include, promo money and all of these things that I just didn't know about. So I think having a budget or setting aside, you're always going to need money, and something could always happen that could cost more. But try to, when you make your business plan, or just try to run some figures, to have some money set aside for you to operate your business. That way you can see if it's going to be viable or not. So that would be one. But I know capital usually for small businesses is always kind of a struggle, because you don't come out just making money. Another thing I would tell myself is to definitely embrace failure. There's so many times we have gone to something, a meeting even, and it was the worst meeting. I was so ready to go when we sat down, but I stuck it out, and I learned so much from it. But, when I've listened to successful people or followed on IG, or even actors that I admire, such as Will Smith and Denzel Washington, they always say, embrace it. You're going to fail. So it's going to happen. And the more you fail, give yourself a pat on the back, because the more likely you will succeed. So don't be afraid to fail. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen continuously. So embrace it and enjoy the ride. Don't give up. There's times that I honestly wanted to quit the jam business. I'm like, you know what? It's not for me. It's too much of a headache. I quit. It was a good run, maybe a hobby, but I think for a lot of people, I mean, that's what success is. If you continue long enough, if it were easy, everybody would be successful. So if you believe in your product, which I do, it's like, I know the product is good. If it wasn't good, I wouldn't try so hard to keep getting it out there. So I definitely would save a little bit more capital. I would embrace failure, and I would just keep going. Like no matter what, just keep moving, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Even if it's only like half an inch, just keep going. Eventually you will get to where you want to go. And you'll be surprised because it's so easy to quit. Like once you quit, you'll never know what would have happened if you would have kept going. You don't know how close you would have been to the finish line if you would have only kept going. So those three things would be my top things.
And I love that. And I'm interested to hear more, and I look forward to talking to you again because I think you have so much and I love your energy. But one of the things I love that you said is that be willing to fail, because we talk about that a lot on this podcast too. And I got to say, like, failing, the feeling of failing is not as bad as giving up and wondering if you should have done something. And you know, that's what I live by. And I've done it once and wondered if I should have done something or done it better. And that feeling is way worse than any failure that I've ever had. So it's more like, okay, and it was a good lesson and I need to learn it, but I'm always like, what if I had just done it? And so it's just one of those things, whether you're an athlete or an entrepreneur or whatever, you know, take the chances while you have them because they always won't be there. And so I think that's incredible.
Exactly.
So, Cathy, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time to be on here. And anyone in the audience who loves what we're doing and loves Cathys Story, please share the episode and pass it on. And obviously, buy On the Rocks Gourmet Jams and go visit her at one of the farmers markets and find her online, because what she's doing is unique. And I love how she ties, you know, how you tie the story together with the name, the alcohol, and the fruit. So I think that's amazing. And everyone have a great day. Again, I'm Justin Bizarre. I'm the host, and you can reach out to me at Justin and the Food Entrepreneurs on Instagram and Facebook, or Justin at thefoodentrepreneurs.com if you want to email me and you're interested in being on the podcast. So thank you, everyone, for listening in, and have a great day.